Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Vicky 3. This is episode 12. We're still with Ashanti. We're in the late stages. We have about 16 years left in this playthrough. I don't know if this episode will be the final one with Ashanti before we move on to a larger nation as we continue to kind of roll uphill with that. But a couple things at play here and decisions to be made. Now, we finally passed a couple laws. That was fantastic, but it did make the landowners very upset. So when I thought about aiming for law number 3, it was instant resistance and brewing revolution coming from the landowners. Now, apparently, whatever province they end up sparking from is where they would have military control of that province. And therefore, if we have it evenly split, which I think Dahomey might be behind when it comes to that. Yeah, they only have 3 barracks where we have 20 and 20. It's not terribly balanced. And nothing. So if they were to get either Togo or Ghana, we'd have a bit of a struggle on our hands where we would have roughly 50% of the military. So defeating the landowners may not be the best path forward. The railway, economic, sure, that's great. We can definitely play that game for the next 16 years. Crushing the landowners and taking that next step looks a little tricky. Now, economic-wise, we can almost afford reparations. And so we could think about another play on Damagaram or Oyo or Yu that are all independent now. Certainly love to expand our borders yet again, but we've still never fully recovered. I mean, the move we made a while back, we ended up with all these radicals, and they're still here. They're still here. They're not going anywhere. I'd like to see GDP break 10 million. I'd like to see our population break 3 million. I don't think we're going to get that high, but I'd love to see our literacy rate exceed 50%. Right now, the Western European powers have a little too much dislike for us. They have a little too much interest in the region and getting total control. And even France, our overlord, doesn't have a very favorable relation. If you look at that top corner, we are improving relations with not one, but two, but 3 nations, as they had all fallen down a bit. And yeah, until we have all of those at 26 and above, I'm not willing to even consider attempting a diplomatic play. But if we do get beyond that point, we'll take a look. But that railway will be done here in about 11 weeks. Unfortunately, we're at the stage, tech-wise, where tech is coming really slow now. And that is because all of the easier techs, we have them. We have all of that technology. And because we only have a couple of universities, because our literacy rate is not terribly high, our overall modifier, your base is a 50. Our modifier is +4. So, and we have an additional modifier that makes it 54.04. That's 4.04 on top of the base. That's all we've been able to improve it by. So we are improving at an almost minimum, not much better than. And so that problematic system, as that railway is done in Ghana, so we have more going on there. We want to check on how that's looking now. That is 3, by the way. This is going to add to everything that's going on here. The infrastructure bonuses are going to go up, 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 up. The transportation bonus, I think we're going to be approaching that stage where we can kind of make everything happen now within this region in Ghana, hopefully. Weekly balance is back to a negative. Unfortunately, we're not bringing in that much money. I think we're going to start making some other changes. We've now got Ghana fully on rail system. It's large enough now, so that's great. That's going to help the income a bit as we go forward. But it's also time to try to switch up some methods, like using fertilizer or our millet farms. It hasn't been doing terribly well, but if we make use of it, it should do a little bit better. Dahomey does have a chemical plant, so we'll want to change that throughout. GDP has broke 10 million now for the first time. Standard of living did fall temporarily, though, unfortunately. Yo-yos a lot with so many various factors going on. Difficult choice here. Great Britain is not going to like us, and obviously if we're going to make a political play, we need them to like us. I think at this state, with 15 years to go, it's not looking likely that we're going to be able to expand further through conquering a neighbor. Therefore, plus 12 to overall interest group for 5 years seems like a wonderful thing to do, including making landowners like us more, which could make it possible to get on with our laws. So yeah, having them like us is a good thing. And actually, with the U.S. now liking us a fair bit, I think we can move back over to try to get the UK back in a more favorable standing. We are neutral. As our economy grows, France continually is just taking more and more of it. Their piece of the pie is just getting larger and larger. Clearly, it's kind of based on what the size of our economy is. So they're taking 9,000, and that's constant. So it's a lot of money that we are feeding their way. It's still ultimately less than what we're paying the government and the military, but it's not by much. I mean, and those subsidies as well are all relatively up there. It'd be really nice to go in and change the economy to make another 50 grand at a time. That would make a massive difference. Of course, we know that France would take we know that France would take 15 of that, but an extra 35 would be a huge boon, and we'd be able to be very active going forward on the economy for the final years of this. I'm going to have a very brief look once again at proportional taxation. We're going to see what happens. I do strongly suspect that the landowners are going to be very much against this move, but so far we're not seeing anything pop up, but we're going to keep a very, very close eye on the potential of trying to get this passed. Right now we're looking at better than 1/3 chance of success, at near 2/3 chance of advance, no problems with debate or stalling, and for now the landowners are keeping their mouths shut and not fighting us on this. Meanwhile, the economy is not doing terribly well at all. And the landowners do pop up, but radicalism is at nothing right now because they are actually happy for the time being. So it took a little give and go, but ultimately the project of switching the millet farms over cost us some money up front, but then we expanded the industry to feed fertilizer to all the millet farms because we didn't have enough. We were having to bring it in from the French market. And now that that is done, and now that it's fully employed, we're seeing our balance get to neutral. So the chemical plant, while it's not doing great, it's not earning a ton of money. it is doing what we need it to do. And actually, it's not the one that has the full employment, but employment is going up here. There we go. Yeah, switching methods is always a dangerous game. It changes your economy every time you do it. It's going to hurt part of it. It's going to hurt part of your workforce. Every decision you make impacts 2, 3, 4 other things. Now the next one, as we're seeing the positive impact of having a railway, is to get the railway to the point it needs to be in the other two areas as well, so we can get all industries. Ashanti Volta, I'm nervous about adding railway there. They are over on infrastructure, but it's such a small region that I have a feeling it would cost us a lot more than we would gain from it. 3 million population has hit 3 million. GDP, meanwhile, though, did drop. It is not at 10 million for the time being. But literacy up to 42%. That bid for 50 is a little iffy with just 14 years to go. The death of a politician has changed our checkpoints on trying to pass this law, and now there's a pretty good chance of stalling. So the 28% that has shifted over to stall all came from advance. So 1923, Japan still a shogunate, Great Qing, Heavenly Kingdom unchanged all this time. East India Company does not have full control over India, so that one's all over the place. We've seen a giant split of Australia. Germany still has not unified. Great Britain is fully unified. And the odd borders in North America have remained the same for many generations. And other than that looks like a revolution right now, fascist Chile, yeah, they are fighting, or we're turning Chile fascist, but otherwise, yeah, the world map has not changed much in the last 25, 30 years. We are seeing a little incident here in the U.S. that's ongoing, involving Damagaram. It looks like they might be taking Damagaram here quite soon. So our second railway is now done in Togo. The upfront cost, of course, with the subsidizing it, isn't going to be terribly helpful for us, but we'll see what this boosts our transportation amount up to. Right now it's at 130. Yeah, that's full employment, so 130 is what we have. I've got it down to just one industry left in Togo that does not have rail transportation now set. That's the sugar plantations. But we're seeing a pretty healthy boost to all of our agriculture now as a result, and our resource camps. The rubber plantation is doing very well, so maybe that's one we want to expand upon. I definitely need to do an expansion of some industries here. We have not done that in, well, quite a while. So Damagaram is now a puppet of the U.S. So for the second time, for the second law in a row, we had a 100% chance of either advancing or succeeding. And then somewhere along the way in that process, the small chance to stall, less than a quarter, about 20% chance to stall came up. And that's exactly what we've gotten again. Two concerns following that failed attempt at passing the law, though they are minor. One, radicals have grown by about 100,000 over this stretch, even though radicalism is at a zero for this. For whatever reason, it is going up. And two, economically, things are not going fantastic at the moment, but we are expanding our agriculture. we'll see, if that feeds the economy a little bit better in the longer term. So we'll give it a chance for that. I've got a lot of things queued up, and let's give it a chance. Right at this point, we have quite a bit of money in reserve. Well, not as much anymore, do we? Not as much anymore. But we have the alternative plan of turning the taxes back to, well, just neutral. I mean, and that would easily cover us off. You can see we would add 6.62K, easily getting out of this deficit. That is supposed to help us with radicals, which are unfortunately going up, despite the fact that the groups that are unhappy aren't the landowners, which is why they aren't getting radicalized. They are actually happy. But if we get down to about 500,000, it'll be time to turn up the taxes and neutralize that. We don't want to get any further on that situation. Now, meanwhile, the nations that we need to be happy with us they are happy right now. I could make a play, not on Damagaram anymore, which is now an American puppet, but Oyo or you seem like they would be good options for expansion. However, we don't have the economic might at the present time. We don't have the ability to afford the war reparations when the most likely outcome, as what we've seen from experience as a small nation with all these Western powers surrounding us, the more likely outcome is not that they allow us to expand. The more likely outcome is that they're going to block it yet again. We have to have the finances to overcome that. Right now we don't. What we do have at the moment, though, is GDP back 10 million plus. We have the standard of living 17 plus, and we have a growing population of more than 3 million. So, yay to that part. That's a big step. And Millet Farm, that's finish it up. Radicals exceeding 500,000, but at least loyalists are half of that. It's definitely a higher number than we've experienced there in recent times. We're only a third of the way on this checkpoint, taking a very long time. At least the stall is once again gone for whatever caused that. We did see that a politician had died. I'm assuming that they were the ultimate cause of our short-term failure on that one. I'm having the worst luck with politicians dying. Not the right ones, the wrong ones keep dying. And another dead politician on Christmas Eve has now taken our almost universal. We had a 1% chance of debate. We had a 99% chance of advance or success. And all of a sudden we're now at 30% chance to stall out yet again. So, not cool. All right, well, we've fallen below the threshold of where I'm happy with accepting debt, so we're going to cover that off and make an essentially neutral balance now, but taxation is neutral. We're not going to see radicals dropping, and yet radicals have been climbing. So this could be worrying as we go forward, as we could see new radicals growing ever rapidly now. Coming up on the next phase here, stall chances at 27%. Let's see what happens. Okay. A game. We can gain 20%. Boy, that could be nice, but that's only going to last 2 years. Let's take the 20%. We'll take the 20%. That's a solid gain. Yeah, we're looking at a 50% chance of success this time around, which would absolutely have the economy just blown in the right direction by a very wide margin. Remember, we're talking about 55,000 additional, and while yes, I expect France would take roughly 10-15 of that, that could be a huge increase for an economy that's just hanging on, and has been hanging on by a thread for a very long time as we grow, expand, and every growth we get, France kind of takes so much of that extra. in the short term with nothing but agricultural growth. It is for the base of the economy. However, in terms of the GDP, it has not been giving us much of a boost. I really think it's got to happen through urban industrialization is where we're going to see that economy, see that GDP grow more significantly. Can't say for sure if this is the origin, but in Denmark, there's a bit of a war going on, and the Netherlands seem to be involved in it, which is leading to some unrest in our region, thanks to the Netherlands' involvement. You can see this is already occupied, and yeah, so we are actually getting some devastation, tiny amounts, but still not a good thing for us. Coming up on the next phase, it's not far off now, but in the meantime, I am worried about our economy as it continues to, well, struggle. It has not gone positive. Construction goods would just about cover that cost. We can always raise taxes if we have to. We do not want to run out of gold reserves, though. I mean, I've learned that the hard way. The moment you take loans, it snowballs and snowballs and snowballs. So we want to stay away from that. But gold reserves, $250,000 now, and it's still been decreasing. A lot of it is our investment pool is nothing right now. The investment pool was at nearly 4,000. So that investment pool is what is going and is what is hurting us right now. We get a 5% boost to our prestige, and that instantly moves us up a few places, up to 38th. At this point, I'm just trying to finalize things. We're 8 years from the end of the playthrough, and as the Europeans won't let us get involved in anything useful. Final days now, near 50% chance of success, and a much higher chance to advance than to stall. It's looking good, but I'm still nervous because things have not gone well for us in the past. It did not succeed. It still did not succeed. We could gain another 20%. Yeah, 2 years is just not enough for that one. Let's take the 20%. And there we go. One more phase, another 2+ years. Almost 2.5 years for another attempt at it, but 68% chance of succeeding now. Meantime, that slow, steady increase of radicalism has seen that go up by 200,000. We hang on otherwise. We are seeing a revolt in Damagaram to our north, still ongoing. The fight that was here has ended, so we're okay. The devastation is gone. Right now, getting a railway upgrade in Dahomey, and I may have to take a break from construction here in the near future just to fix the economy, just to get it neutral until we have something again. I've had repeated attempts at alliances of late. I don't want them. I don't want them because I fear that these smaller neighbors that are looking to us for the alliance, it's the Western powers that are the threat, not them. We're stronger than them. Can be stronger than them. All we have to do is turn our military up, and we can do that. It would cost more, but we can absolutely turn it up and make them stronger. We have the ability to fend off our neighbors. But if they come calling and ask for our help, we face real threats from the Western powers. The Western powers are interested in those around us more so than us. Why? Because, well, France already claimed us quite a while ago. I have added in a couple of industries to all that agriculture upgrades that we've made, and we've seen our GDP jump by another 2 million now at 12. And actually, those are not done yet. We got a food industry, power plant on the way, some rubber plantations. We've got a lot of things queued up at the moment. synthetics plants. The landowners are starting to find themselves unhappy with how things are going, so radicalism is starting. It's hit a 1. It's been there all along. I mean, it was a little bit, and that's why we've seen that slow increase. Right now, it's not a major concern, especially when we have a very high chance of success this time around. Better than 2/3 chance. But it's starting to get a little more worrying. The grumblings are getting a little bit louder. Okay, here come the gold reserves fading away, so I think it's time that I go into our construction options and make some things go away. We need to turn stuff off, even if it's going to be helpful for us. Rubber plantations is fine. We'll turn that one off. Food industry is fine. That power plant looks like it's going to be pretty useful, so we'll leave those last 2 on. 99 weeks seems like a long time to leave this negative. All right. We don't have time to waste. We are going to just finish up the synthetic plant and then be done with it. Turn construction off for a while. We need a positive balance. We have used up all of our gold reserves, and we do not want to crash the economy now. It is very much a huge snowball effect. Now, of course, if the proportional taxation passes, then we are going to be in a wonderful position. That radicals group, I think, is what's really costing our economy right now, as we have jumped to nearly 800,000. And the loyalists have fallen off to just 100,000 too. So we are getting hit in multiple ways right now. Another dead politician, this time not hurting the chance of success here. Okay, we have a huge armed forces event that has taken place with socialist ideas sweeping, well, really throughout the world. Not here. I would have appreciated some of these kind of events earlier, but we have wage subsidies, we have the ability to ban slavery, and that's probably a good one. I think we're going to go with the ban slavery one as an option. Oh, that was instant. Okay, so there you go. We now have slavery banned. We did so in that last playthrough shortly before things went very chaotic for us. Let's see how this one does here. Radicalism just went extreme. And because of the recent passing of a law, I don't think we can wait till October. How long is this going to take? Plus 10 per week, which means it would take 10 weeks. And no. So close. And now we are going to have to back off. So taxation is not happening, unfortunately, here at the end of the playthrough. We have banned slavery, but we are not going to pass that law. So close. And now, so far, the landowners strike again. This time because of a random event through other activities around the world that has now caused us some pretty serious harm. What has happened, though, is we are seeing a rapid change on this front, and the economy is suddenly getting better. So we will be paying off those loans here soon enough. We're 100,000 in credit at the moment, and you can see how quickly that is improving. We're going to turn off construction still for a little bit and get out of debt here faster. But wow, that is so disappointing. We were so close to changing the economy for the good. Something we've been focused on for a very, very long time. And now we got something good. Slavery is banned. But all that does is unlock further laws, right? There's nothing gained from it. But landowners no longer have pro-slavery ideology. when the time comes that the effect of a recent law change has faded, there will be a good chance at that point that, all right, at this rate, the economy will be fixed. We will be all credit paid off before we even would have reached the end of that window to pass that law, theoretically pass that law. The odds were very much in our favor this time around. Interest, not big payments right now. It's only 208, but it's still a thing. Diplomatic pacts, France charging us over 10,000 now. It's now exceeding all other types of expenses. It's nearly a third of all national expenses, and that national revenue. I mean, damn, we have 43,000 as our national revenue. It was expected to go up by 55,000. It would more than double the size of our economy. And yes, we double the expenses on what we pay to France, but devastating change there to get rid of the slavery. And the industrialists are aggressively coming after us now to abolish serfdom as well. The support is medium, but the radicalism is very high for them. It's a smaller group, though. The industrialists, their clout is only 4%, so they are marginalized. There is a lot of support to abolish serfdom, though. However, the landowners, who already hate us, minus 15 right now, absolutely despise everything we are doing. They are not in the government for the moment. They are not in the government. We might need to get them back into the government, but passing this is easier said than done. By the way, one of the things that has really hurt us the most in this playthrough is the fact that our king, Onse, is 94 years old. That guy has been king in a similar length to Queen Elizabeth here. The guy just won't die, and that has really, really helped the landowners. Of course, his son is also a member of the landowners group, so it's just things are tough. Things are tough. Radicals are falling off because the landowners aren't as angry right now, but now it's not one thing, it's 10 others. At least the economy is getting right. Gold reserves exist once again, so we are up to 100,000 gold reserves, and we're back to doing construction. Now the only thing is we are neutral on those taxes right now, so we are not making radicals go away except on their own, but the industrialists are rather ticked off, so I think right now we're seeing a steady increase. Not massive, because the industrialists are a rather small group. So our first ever power plant has been constructed in Dahomey. It's just a recent job, so we're seeing as the employment grows. Right now productivity is pretty high. It's making a good amount of money, but what is that weekly balance going to be like? We can see that the cash reserves are essentially non-existent, as it is feeding that money back into hiring new employees. All right, the power plant is fully employed. It is productive. It's not a huge positive weekly balance, but it's definitely going up in terms of those cash reserves, and it is producing 50 electricity. So that's going to give me some new options going forward. I mean, technically we had access to these things again in the French market, but producing them locally makes a huge difference on the cost of various things. So what can use? I'm a little confused how this can even happen. The industrialists have a revolution brewing. Radicalism is over 50%. Okay, it's fine. It's growing. They're radicalized. They are less than 5%. I don't understand how a group that has no clout is going to house a revolution. Let's hope that they don't suddenly exceed, what everybody else has. Right now it's not growing. It's not changing. Oh, there it is. Togo. Okay, Togo would be hello, hello. Hovering over it tells you where they would secede. So they would have nearly 50%, which I think means we might want to add a few barracks here. Even though that's going to cost us a bit, but let's get 10 there. Because now it's at 53%. The radicalism of the group continues to grow, and there's nothing we can do or stop them right now besides pass a law that I'd love to pass that we can't pass because the landowners would be doing the same thing. They'd be housing their own revolution here in the short term. Meanwhile, the only Western country that hates us is France. Yeah, our overlord absolutely hates us. I don't understand why. Our economy has grown and grown and grown, and we feed the market well, and we feed their economy very well. And they haven't had to do anything for us. We pay them to be our overlord. They don't have military here. They haven't had to support us in any wars. They've literally done nothing. The intelligentsia now joining the party. They do have a bit more clout. That could be a worrying thing going forward. Are we close enough on the landowners? They're at -7, so I have a feeling that's going to be... Yeah. They still have the -10 on the recent change. How long is the impact of that one? I don't know. Oh, and the industrialists now have 5%. Had 5%. We may not have gotten the law we wanted to pass, but we have made a lot of progress economically as the growth rate is good. The investment pool is so much better than what it was. And, we are seeing some positives. We are seeing some positives. And we're having construction going on and still having a very positive balance. It's back up to 400K, but this revolution is slowly brewing. France is busy after us. What are they doing to us? France wants to conquer us. No. They want to annex us. 3 years to go. 3 years till the end of the playthrough. And France has decided... So here's the play. 3 years to go. And we are aiming for independence. We are obviously no match for France. We will need help. But look who's willing to give it. Look who's willing to give it. We need to get into the next phase. Who else is willing to give it? Because there was 2. Segu is the other one. But the U.S., with their 295 mobilized battalions, and the power projection jumps to 206 with some economic changes. 206 with the economic changes. And they're in. Okay, we have swayed the U.S. to be on our side. Now, our war goal is independence. Not war reparations, but independence. France deciding they want to conquer us is leading to this opportunity. Wow, what a late game interesting thing to have happen here. But also, I am well over time for this episode. We only have a few years left here. We will finish it up next time. And depending on what happens, what France does from here, whether they go through with it. Because right now, there's plenty of time until this is going to be decided. But here's the thing. They want to annex us. The U.S. is on our side to grant independence. We are going to have one or the other. Either we're going to have a big war, or they back down and we become independent. We are definitely not backing down, though. I mean, that much is obvious. Wow. Okay. Some very late game drama. Plus, we have a revolution brewing from some marginalized groups that are just barely having enough clout to even be part of anything. They're getting more and more radical. In fact, they just got joined now by the unions. I agree with them. I would love to give them what they are demanding. It's just the landowners that themselves are being quite problematic and still rather upset over abolishment of slavery. And it's dropped to a -9 on the impact of it from the -10. It is starting to get better. The armed forces aren't happy right now either. Our government legitimacy is rather low. There's a lot happening here with 3 years to go in the playthrough. Either way, next episode, it looks like we will be beginning that new playthrough as soon as the original one ends, and we'll do a little recap, and then on we go to the next one. So we'll get what happens with Ashanti next time, though. That's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.